Namaste, Assalamu alaikum, Shalom, Ni hao, Buenos dias, Hezeche, Akwaba, Welkomen, what up, dope? This is the weekly Holy Scriptures recorded recitation. This is part numero dos because this week is a double portion. So the date today is still 124.11. Ocho? Seis. Semicolon 72, semicolon 1, full 10. And this is portion numero dos of this week, of the double portion this week. And it is, in our yearly cycle, numero 43, Masei. And that includes within the Torah, Masei, which is Bimidbar 33:1 a 36:13. Within the Bhagavad Gita, it is the Yana Vijnana Yogahe numero 7. Within the Digha Nikaya, it is the Lakkhana Sutta chapter. In the Digha Nikaya, it is the Lakkhana Sutta numero 30, chapter 2. Within the Gospels, it is John 17 a 18. Within the Quran, it is Surah Al-Mujadiyah, Surah Al-Hashr, Surah Al-Mumtahina, Surah Asaf, and Surah Al-Jumu'ah, which is Surahs 58 a 62. And within the Tao Te Ching, it is chapters 10 a 15. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Allah wabham. Deus noster, qui es in celis, sanctificator nomen tuum, vahegu sanam. Dao kudav vehangdav. Ja. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamudzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Kyrie eleison. Silva mastu savjgatahim, sabe sata bhavantu sukhitatam, vagabiyam, ubuntu, shabonam, frekako, akwaba, upendo na amani, lumacheka. Sheshe, kawasanida, domo arigato, pilama yela wakantako, talk, odoka shengu. God, we thank you for all that you bless us. Glory to God. Ata jamya yata afnami. Aho. Om shanti shanti shanti. Amen. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Allah wabha. Deus noster, qui es in celis, sanctificator nomen tuum, vahegu sanam. Dao kudav vehangdav. Ja. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitzanu b'mitzvotav zivanu, isok b'davai Torah. Amen. Kyrie eleison. Siva mastu savajagatehi. Sabe sata bhavantu sukhitata, vagabiyam, ubuntu, shabonam, frekako, akwaba, upendo na amani, lumacheka. Sheshe, kamosunida, domo arigato, pilama yelo wakantako, talk, adoka shingu. God, we thank you for all that you bless us. Glory to God. Ata jamya yata afanami. Aho. Om shanti shanti shanti. Amen. Torah, Masei, Bemidbar 33:1 a 36:13. These are the journeys of the children of Israel who left the land of Egypt in their legions under the charge of Moshe and Aaron. Moshe recorded their starting points for their journeys according to the word of the Lord, and these were their journeys with their starting points. They journeyed from Ramses in the first month, on the 15th day of the first month. On the day following the Pesach sacrifice, the children of Israel left triumphantly before the eyes of all the Egyptians. And the Egyptians were busy bearing because the Lord had struck down their firstborn and had wrought vengeance against their deities. The children of Israel journeyed from Ramses and camped in Sukkot. They journeyed from Sukkot and camped in Etam at the edge of the desert. They journeyed from Etam and camped in Pi-Hahirot, which faces Baal-Zephon, and they camped in front of Migdol. They journeyed from Pi-Hahirot and crossed in the midst of the sea to the desert. They walked for 3 days in the desert of Etam and camped at Marah. They journeyed from Marah and arrived in Elim, and in Elim they were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees, and they camped there. They journeyed from Elim and camped by the Red Sea, the Sea of Reeds. They journeyed from the Sea of Reeds and camped in the desert of Sin. They journeyed from the desert of Sin and camped at Dofka. They journeyed from Dofka and camped at Alush. They journeyed from Alush and camped in Rephidim, but there was no water for the people to drink. They journeyed from Rephidim and camped in the Sinai desert. They journeyed from the Sinai desert and camped in Kivrot HaTava. They journeyed from Kivrot HaTava and camped in Hazerot. They journeyed from Hazerot and camped in Ritma. They journeyed from Ritma and camped in Rimon Peretz. They journeyed from Rimon Peretz and camped in Libna. They journeyed from Libna and camped in Rissah. They journeyed from Rissah and camped in Kehelata. They journeyed from Kehelata and camped in Mount Shefer. They journeyed from Mount Shefer and camped in Haradah. They journeyed from Haradah and camped in Makelot. They journeyed from Makelot and camped in Tahat. They journeyed from Tahat and camped in Tarah. They journeyed from Tarah and camped in Mitkah. They journeyed from Mitkah and camped at Hashmonah. They journeyed from Hashmonah and camped at Moserot. They journeyed from Moserot and camped in Bnei Yakan. They journeyed from Bnei Yakan and camped in Hor Hagidgad. They journeyed from Hor Hagidgad and camped at Yotbata. They journeyed from Yotbata and camped at Abronah. They journeyed from Abronah and camped in Etzion Geber. They journeyed from Etzion Geber and camped in the desert of Zin, which is Kadesh. They journeyed from Kadesh and camped at Mount Hor at the edge of the land of Edom. Aaron the Kohen ascended Mount Hor at the Lord's bidding and died there on the first day of the 5th month in the 40th year of the children of Israel's exodus from Egypt. Aaron was 123 years old when he died at Mount Hor. The Canaanite king of Arad, who dwelt in the south in the land of Canaan, heard that the children of Israel had arrived. They journeyed from Mount Hor and camped at Zalmonah. They journeyed from Zalmonah and camped in Punon. They journeyed from Punon and camped at Obot. They journeyed from Obot and camped in the ruins of Abarim on the Moabite boundary. They journeyed from the ruins and camped it in Dibon Gad. They journeyed from Dibon Gad and camped in Almon Diblatema. They journeyed from Almon Diblatema and camped in the mountains of Abarim in front of Nebo. They journeyed from the mountains of Abarim and camped in the plains of Moab by the Jordan at Jericho. They camped along the Jordan from Bet Yeshimot to Abel Shittim in the plains of Moab. The Lord spoke to Moshe in the plains of Moab by the Jordan at Jericho, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, when you cross the Jordan into the land of Canaan, you shall drive out all the inhabitants of the land from before you, destroy all their temples, destroy their molten idols, and demolish their high places. You shall clear out the land and settle in it, for I have given you the land to occupy it. You shall give the land as an inheritance to your families by lot. To the large you shall give a larger inheritance, and to the small you shall give a smaller inheritance. Wherever the lot falls shall be his. According to the tribes of your fathers you shall inherit. But if you do not drive out the inhabitants of the land from before you, then those whom you leave over will be as spikes in your eyes and thorns in your sides, and they will harass you in the land in which you settle. And it will be that what I had intended to do to them, I will do to you. The Lord spoke to Moshe, saying, Command the children of Israel, and say to them, when you arrive in the land of Canaan, this is the land which shall fall to you as an inheritance, the land of Canaan according to its borders. Your southernmost corner shall be from the desert of Zin along Edom, and the southern border shall be from the edge of the Sea of Salt, the Dead Sea, to the east. The border then turns south of Malay Akrabim, the elevation of Akrabim, passing towards Zin, and its ends shall be to the south of Kadesh Barnea. Then it shall extend to Hazar Adar and continue towards Azmon. The border then turns from Azmon to the stream of Egypt, and its ends shall be to the sea. The western border it shall be for you the great Mediterranean Sea, and the border this shall be your western border. It shall be your northern border. From the great Mediterranean Sea turn yourselves towards Mount Hor. From Mount Hor turn to the entrance of Hamat, and the ends of the border shall be towards Zedad. The border shall then extend to Ziphron, and its ends shall be Hazar Anan. This shall be your northern border. You shall then turn yourselves towards the eastern border, from Hazar Anan to Shaphan. The border descends from Shaphan towards Riblah, to the east of Ain. Then the border descends and hits the eastern shore of Lake Kinneret. The border then continues down along the Jordan, and its ends is the Sea of Salt, the Dead Sea. This shall be your land according to its borders around. Moshe commanded the children of Israel, saying, This is the land which you are to apportion for inheritance through lot, that the Lord has commanded to give to the 9.5 tribes. For the tribe of Reuben's descendants according to their father's house, and the tribe of Gad's descendants according to their father's house, and half the tribe of Manasseh have already received their inheritance. The 2.5 tribes have received their inheritance on this side of the Jordan near Jericho, in the east towards the Soleil rise. The Lord spoke to Moshe, saying, These are the names of the men who shall inherit the land on your behalf: Eleazar the Kohen and Yehoshua the son of Nun. You shall take one chieftain from each tribe to help you to acquire the land. These are the names of the men for the tribe of Yehuda: Caleb the son of Yophuneh. For the tribe of the descendants of Shimon, Samuel the son of Amihud. For the tribe of Benjamin, Elidad the son of Chislon. The chieftain for the tribe of the descendants of Dan, Buki the son of Yogli. For the descendants of Joseph, the chieftain of the tribe of the descendants of Manasseh, Haniel the son of Ephod. The chieftain for the tribe of the descendants of Ephraim, Kemuel the son of Shiftan. The chieftain for the tribe of the descendants of Zebulun, Elizaphan the son of Parnach. The chieftain for the tribe of the descendants of Issachar, Paltiel the son of Azan. The chieftain for the tribes of the descendants of Asher, Ahihud the son of Shelumi. The chieftain of the tribe of the descendants of Naphtali, Pedahel the son of Amihud. These are the ones whom the Lord commanded to apportion the inheritance to the children of Israel in the land of Canaan. The Lord spoke to Moshe in the plains of Moab by the Jordan at Jericho, saying, Command the children of Israel that they shall give to the Levites from their hereditary possession cities in which to dwell, and you shall give the Levites open spaces around the cities. These cities shall be theirs for dwelling, and their open spaces shall be for their cattle, their property, and for all their needs. The areas of open space for the cities which you shall give to the Levites shall extend from the wall of the city outwards 1,000 cubits all around. You shall measure from outside the city 2,000 cubits on the eastern side, 2,000 cubits on the southern side, 2,000 cubits on the western side, and 2,000 cubits on the northern side. With the city in the middle, this shall be your city's open spaces. Amongst the cities you shall give to the Levites shall be 6 cities of refuge, which you shall provide as places to which a murderer can flee. In addition to them you shall provide 42 cities. All the cities you shall give to the Levites shall number 48 cities, them with their open spaces. And as for the cities that you shall give from the possession of the children of Israel, you shall take further from a larger holding, and you shall take less from a smaller one. Each one according to the inheritance allotted to him shall give of his cities to the Levites. The Lord spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, When you cross the Jordan to the land of Canaan, you shall designate cities for yourselves. They shall be cities of refuge for you, and a murderer who killed a person unintentionally shall flee there. These cities shall serve you as a refuge from an avenger, so that the murderer shall not die until he stands in judgment before the congregation. The cities that you provide shall serve as 6 cities of refuge for you. You shall provide the 3 cities in Transjordan and the 3 cities in the land of Canaan. They shall be cities of refuge. These 6 cities shall be a refuge for the children of Israel and for the proselyte and resident amongst them, so that anyone who unintentionally kills a person can flee there. If he struck him with an iron instrument and he dies, he is a murderer, and the murderer shall be put to death. If he struck him with a fist-sized stone which is deadly and he dies, he is a murderer, and the murderer shall be put to death. Or with a fist-sized wooden instrument which is deadly and he dies, he is a murderer, and the murderer shall be put to death. The blood avenger shall kill the murderer. He may kill him when he meets him. If out of hatred he pushed him or threw something at him with premeditation and he died, or if he maliciously struck him with his hand and he died, the assailant shall be put to death. He is a murderer. The blood avenger may kill the murderer when he meets him. But if he pushed him accidentally without malice, or threw an object at him without premeditation, or with any stone which is deadly, and without seeing his victim he threw it down at him and it killed him, but he was not his enemy and bore him no malice, then the congregation shall judge between the assailant and the blood avenger on the basis of these judgments. The congregation shall protect the murderer from the hand of the blood avenger, and the congregation shall return him to the city of refuge to which he had fled, and he shall remain there until the Kohen Gadol, who had anointed him with the sacred oil, dies. But if the murderer goes beyond the border of the city of refuge to which he had fled, and the blood avenger finds him outside the limits of his city of refuge, and the blood avenger slays the murderer, he has no blood. For he shall remain in his city of refuge until the Kohen Gadol dies, and only after the Kohen Gadol dies may the murderer return to the land which is his possession. These shall be for you a statute of justice for all your generations and all your dwelling places. Whoever, namely the blood avenger, kills a person based on the testimony of witnesses, he shall slay the murderer. A single witness may not testify against a person so that he should die. You shall not accept ransom for the life of a murderer who is guilty of death, for he shall be put to death. You shall not accept ransom for one who has fled to his city of refuge, to allow him to return to live in the land before the Kohen has died. And you shall not corrupt the land in which you live, for the blood corrupts the land, and the blood which is shed in the land cannot be atoned for except through the blood of the one who shed it. And you shall not defile the land where you reside, in which I dwell, for I am the Lord who dwells amongst the children of Israel. The paternal heads of the family of the sons of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, of the families of the sons of Joseph, approached and spoke before Moshe and before the chieftains, the paternal heads of the children of Israel. They said, The Lord commanded my master to give the land as an inheritance through lot to the children of Israel, and our master was commanded by the Lord to give the inheritance of Zelophehad, our brother, to his daughters. Now if they marry a member of another tribe of the children of Israel, their inheritance will be diminished from the inheritance of our far, and it will be added to the inheritance of the tribe into which they marry, and thus it will be diminished from the lot of our inheritance. Even if the children of Israel will have a jubilee, a yovel, their inheritance will be added to the inheritance of the tribe into which they marry, and their inheritance will be diminished from the inheritance of our far's tribe. Moshe commanded the children of Israel according to the word of the Lord, saying, The tribe of Joseph's descendants speak justly. This is the word that the Lord has commanded regarding Zelophehad's daughters. Let them marry whomever they please, but they shall marry only to the family of their far's tribe. Thus the inheritance of the children of Israel will not be transferred from tribe to tribe, for each person from the children of Israel will remain attached to the inheritance of his far's tribe. Every daughter from the tribes of the children of Israel who inherits property shall marry a member of her far's tribe, so each one of the children of Israel shall inherit the property of his forefathers. And no inheritance will be transferred from one tribe to another tribe, for each person of the tribes of the children of Israel shall remain attached to his own inheritance. As the Lord had commanded Moshe, so did Zelophehad's daughters do. Mahlah, Tirzah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Noah married their cousins. They married into the families of the sons of Manasseh, the son of Joseph, and their inheritance remained with the tribe of their far's family. These are the commandments and the ordinances that the Lord commanded the children of Israel through Moshe in the plains of Moab by the Jordan at Jericho. Bhagavad Gita Yana Vijnana Yogehe. Sri Krishna said, "Hear, O Partha, how, with your mind attached to me and taking refuge in me and practicing yoga, you will without any doubt know me in full. I shall teach you in full both knowledge and experience, which being known, nothing further remains here for you to know. Amongst thousands of men, one here and there strives for perfection, and of those who strive and succeed, one perchance knows me in truth. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, reason, and ego. Such is the eightfold division of my nature. This is my lower nature, but different from it know, O mighty Arjuna, my higher nature, the indwelling spirit by which the universe is sustained. Know that these two form the womb of all beings. I am the origin of the entire universe and also its dissolution. There exists nothing whatever higher than I am, O Dhananjaya. All is strung on me as a row of gems on a thread. I am the savor of waters, O son of Kunti, the radiance of the soleil and the moon. I am the syllable Om in all the Vedas, the sound in ether, the manliness in man. I am the sweet fragrance in earth and the brightness in fire. In all beings I am the life, and I am the austerity in ascetics. Know me, O son of Prita, to be the eternal seed of all things that exist. I am the intelligence of the intelligent and the daring of the brave. I am the strength of the strong, free from longing and attachment. I am, O master of the Bharatas, the desire in all beings that is not contrary to Dharma. And whatever things there be of the nature of sattva, rajas, and tamas, know they are all from me alone. I am not, however, in them; they are in me. Deluded by these threefold gunas constituting nature, this whole world fails to recognize me, who am above the gunas and immutable. Verily, this divine Maya of mine, consisting of the gunas, is hard to overcome, but those who take refuge in me alone shall cross over this Maya. Evildoers and the deluded and the vilest amongst men, deprived of knowledge by Maya and following the way of the Asuras, do not worship me. 4 types of virtuous men worship me, O Arjuna: the man in distress, the man seeking knowledge, the man seeking enjoyment, and, O best of the Bharatas, the man endowed with wisdom. Of these, the wise man, ever steadfast and devoted to the one alone, is the best. For supremely dear am I to the man of wisdom, and he is dear to me. Noble indeed are they all, but the man endowed with wisdom I deem to be my very self. For steadfast in mind, he remains fixed in me alone as the supreme goal. At the end of many births, the man of wisdom seeks refuge in me, realizing that Vasudeva is all. Rare indeed is such a high-souled person. But those whose discrimination has been led astray by various desires resort to other deities, following diverse rituals, constrained by their own natures. Whatever may be the form a devotee seeks to worship with faith, in that form alone I make his faith unwavering. Possessed of that faith, he worships that form, and from it attains his desires, which are in actuality granted by me alone. But finite is the result gained by these men of small minds. Those who worship the deities go to the deities. Those who worship me come to me. Not knowing my supreme nature, immutable and transcendent, foolish men think that I, the unmanifest, am endowed with a manifest form. Veiled by my Maya, born of the Gunas, I am not revealed to all. This deluded world knows me not as the unborn and eternal. I, O Arjuna, know the beings that are of the past, that are of the present, and that are to come, but me, no one knows. All beings from their very birth, O Bharata, are deluded by the spell of the pairs of opposites arising from desire and aversion. But the men of virtuous deeds, whose sin is ended, are free from the delusion of the pairs and worship me with firm resolve. Those who take refuge in me to gain release from old age and death, they will come to know Brahman. They will come to know all about the individual soul and all about action as well. Those who know me as the one that underlies all the elements, as the one that underlies all the angels, and as the one that sustains all the sacrifices, will with steadfast mind know me even in the hour of death. Dignikaya, Lakana Sutta 30, chapter 2. Whereas in whatsoever former birth, former state of being, former sojourning, brethren, the Tathagata, then being human, was sincerely desirous of contemplating the benevolent will of the folk, knew what each man was like, himself recognized each, and knew his reputation and how he differed from others, and thus distinguishing, he judged, this one deserves that, and this one again deserves that. He, by the doing and by the accumulation of that karma, was reborn in a bright and blessed world. Deceasing thence and attaining life as ye know it, he acquired these two marks of the Superman, to wit, his proportions have the symmetry of the banyan tree, and standing without bending, he can touch and rub his knees with both hands. Endowed with these marks, if he dwell in the house, he becomes monarch, turner of the wheel. As monarch, what doth he get? Rich is he, of great fortune, of great wealth. Full is the treasure house of much gold and silver, of many treasures, of coin and corn. As monarch, this doth he get. As Buddha, what doth he get? Rich is he, of great fortune, of great wealth, and this is his plenteous currency: faith, virtue, modesty, discretion, learning, renunciation, wisdom. As Buddha, this doth he get. This was the matter spoken of by the Exalted One. Concerning it, this was said: seeking always the folk's benevolent will, once did he wisely men appraise, weighed them in judgment, criticized each by himself, his worthy that, detecting where each one excelled. Hence can he now unbending stand and touch the knees with both his hands. And as a tree, for girth and height, the fruit of other well-wrought deeds, experts in diverse signs and marks, versed in such lore, did thus declare, things fit for laymen of all kinds, as quite a little boy he gets. Much worldly wealth for this world's master, and fit for laymen shall be his. And if all wealth of worldly joys he shall renounce, then doth he win of riches highest utmost crown. Whereas in whatsoever former birth, former state of being, former sojourning, brethren, the Tathagata, then being human, grew desirous for the benefit of the many, for the welfare of their comfort, their safety, considering how they might increase in confidence, in virtue, in education, in charity, in righteousness, and in wisdom, might increase in money, in corn, in land, in animals, two-footed and four-footed, in wife and children, in servants and slaves, in kinsfolk and friends and connections. He, by the doing and by the accumulating of that karma, by the mass and the abundance thereof, was, when the body perished, reborn after death in a bright and blessed world. Deceasing thence and attaining life as ye know it, he acquired these three marks of the Superman, to wit, the front half of his body is like a lion's, there is no furrow between his shoulders, his bust is equally rounded. Endowed with these marks, if he dwell in the house, he becomes monarch, turner of the wheel. As monarch, what doth he get? He is incapable of failure and loss. He suffers no loss in money or corn, in fields or fallow, in two or four-footed beasts, in wife or children, in servants or slaves, in kinsfolk, friends, or connections. He forfeits nothing wherein he succeeds. As monarch, this doth he get. As Buddha, what doth he get? He is incapable of failure or loss. He suffers no loss in faith, in virtue, in learning, in renunciation, in wisdom. He does not fail of success in anything. As Buddha, this doth he get. This was the matter spoken of by the Exalted One. Concerning it, this is said, in faith and virtue, teaching wisdom, right, and charity, and other benevolent things, in coin and corn, fallow and field, and wife and children, and four-footed things, kinsfolk and friends, connection, strength, and comeliness, and happiness. How shall my neighbor lose? No wise in these. This was his wish, and thus their benefit to achieve his strong desire. Handsome with lion-fronted body, born, no furrow in his back, and rounded front, by karma wrought, and bygone days well stored. Lo, for him now the birth sign this shall be, of fortune blessed, immunity from loss. As layman he shall thrive in corn and coin, in family and in four-footed beasts. As wanderer possessing naught, he wins enlightenment, supreme and unsurpassed. That perfect sphere where failure entereth not. Whereas in whatsoever former birth, former state of being, former sojourning brethren, the Tathagata then being human, acquire the habit of harming no creatures, either by hand or clod or scourge or sword. He by the doing and by the accumulating of that karma, by the mass and the abundance thereof, was reborn in a bright and blessed world. Deceasing thence and attaining this world as ye know it, he acquired this mark of the Superman, to wit, his taste is supremely acute of anything on the tip of the tongue. Sensations of taste are produced in the throat and are diffused everywhere. Endowed with that mark, if he dwell in the house, he becomes monarch, turner of the wheel. As monarch, what doth he get? He experiences little of illness or suffering. He is possessed of benevolent digestion, of an equable temperature, neither too hot nor too cold. As monarch, this doth he get. As Buddha, what doth he get? He experiences little of illness or suffering. He is possessed of benevolent digestion, of equable temperature, neither too hot nor too cold. Equable of patience in exertion. As Buddha, this doth he get. This was the matter spoken of by the Exalted One. Concerning it, this was said, no living thing he harmed, by hand, by scourge, by clod, by sword, by any murderer's death, by bonds or threats, no injury he wrought. Therefore, in blissful born, he reaped the fruit of happiness, found happy things for deeds. Reborn on earth, he gets most delicate sense, erect taste, bearers planted well in throat. And so the seer's expert declared of him, this man shall plenteously be happy be. Live he as layman or as wanderer, this is the thing betokened by the mark. Whereas in whatsoever former birth, brethren, the Tathagata then being human acquired the habit of looking not askance, nor obliquely, nor furtively, but with upright, candid, and lofty mind, contemplating people with affectionate eyes. He by the doing and by the accumulating of that karma, by the mass and the abundance thereof, when the body perished, was reborn after death in a bright and blessed world. Deceasing thence and attaining life as ye know it, he acquired these two marks of the Superman, to wit, his eyes are intensely blue, and he has eyelashes like a cow. Endowed with these marks, if he dwell in the house, he becomes monarch, turner of the wheel. As monarch, what doth he get? The people love to see him. He is popular amongst and beloved by Brahmin householders, town and country folk, treasury officials, bodyguards, warders, ministers, courtiers, tributary kings, feudatory chiefs, and youths of high degree. As monarch, this doth he get. As Buddha, what doth he get? The people love to see him. He is popular amongst and beloved by bhikshus and bhikkhunis, lay brethren and lay sisters, devas and men, asuras, nagas, and gandhavas. As Buddha, this doth he get. This was the matter spoken of by the Exalted One. Concerning it, this was said, with glance not furtive nor askance nor downward casting, but as one whose upright, candid, lofty mind looked on the people lovingly, resulting fruit in blessed worlds, 'twas his to experience and enjoy. Here born again, his lashes long as cows and eyes of deep dark blue, most fair to see, wise augurs said, expert such signs to interpret well. A babe with eyes so rare and fine betokens popularity. Dear to the eyes of many folk, as laymen will he live beloved, and if not lay, but wanderer, loved as the healer of their griefs. Whereas in whatsoever former birth, brethren, the Tathagata then being human became leader amongst men in benevolence, foremost in virtuous deed, in word and thought, in dispensing gifts, in conformity to virtue, in attending religious festivals and filial duties, in honoring recluses and Brahmins, in deferring to the head of the family, and in other such sundry righteous observances. He by the doing and by the accumulating of that karma, by the mass and the abundance thereof, was, when the body perished, reborn after death in a bright and blessed world. Deceasing thence and attaining life as ye know it, he acquired this mark of the Superman, to wit, a head like a turban. Endowed with this mark, if he dwell in the house, he becomes monarch, turner of the wheel. As monarch, what doth he get? The loyalty of the multitude of Brahmin householders, town and country folk, treasury officials, bodyguards, warders, ministers, courtiers, tributary kings, feudatory chiefs, and youths of high degree. As monarch, this doth he get. As Buddha, what doth he get? The loyalty of the multitude of bhikshus and bhikkhunis, of lay brethren and lay sisters, devas and men, asuras, nagas, and gandhavas. As Buddha this doth he get. This was the matter spoken of by the Exalted One. Concerning it this was said, foremost amongst benevolent lovers, once he lived, and all his love was given to walk in the ways of righteousness, loyal to help the multitude. He reaped in heaven his due reward. Fruit of benevolent life thus having plucked, he came to earth with crested head. And they who knew what signs should mean declared, this one will lead the folk. As in the past, so now all men will render services to him. So they reported thus of him. If he be born of noble clan, as master of lands, 'tis his to win the faithful service of the folk. But if he leave the world, this man, so versed and practiced in benevolent deeds, will draw the people after him, for all their love will given be to keep what he so well doth teach. Whereas in whatsoever former birth, brethren, the Tathagata, then being human, put away lying, felt revulsion at lies, became truth speaker, bound to truth, trustworthy, consistent, breaking his word to no one. He, by the doing and by the accumulating of that karma, by the mass and the abundance thereof, was reborn in a bright and blessed world. Deceasing thence and attaining this life as ye know it, he acquired these two marks of the Superman, to wit, down growing in separate hairs, all over his body and between the eyebrows a hairy mole, white and like soft cotton down. Endowed with these marks, if he dwell in the house, he becomes monarch, turner of the wheel. As monarch, what doth he get? The people conform to his wishes. Brahmin, householders, town and country folk, treasury officials, bodyguards, warders, ministers, courtiers, tributary kings, feudatory chiefs, and youths of high degree. As monarch, this doth he get. As Buddha, what doth he get? The people conform to his wishes. Bhikshus and bhikkhunis, lay brethren and lay sisters, devas and men, asuras, nagas, gandhavas. As Buddha, this doth he get. This was the matter spoken of by the Exalted One. Concerning it this was said, true was his promise in past births, sincere his word, he shunned the false, a breaker of his truth to no one, he pleased by truth consistency. White, lustrous, soft as cotton down, a mole was seen betwixt his brows, and from each pore but one hair grew about his skin. So was he made. When many versed in signs were met, they saw the marks and thus declared, with mole and hairs well placed like these, him will the people all obey. As layman, they will look to him so much above by past wrought deeds. As Buddha, they will look to him not owning, wanderer supreme. Whereas in whatsoever former birth, brethren, the Tathagata, then being human, put away abusive speech, revolted against abusive speech. What he heard here, not repeating elsewhere, to raise a quarrel against people here. And what he heard elsewhere, not repeating here, to raise a quarrel against people there. Thus becoming a binder together of those who are divided, or fostering those who are friends, a peacemaker, a lover of concord, and passion for peace, a speaker of words that make for peace. He, by the doing and by the accumulating of that karma, by the mass and the abundance of it, was, when the body perished, reborn after death in a bright and blessed world. Deceasing thence and attaining life as ye know it, he acquired these two marks of the Superman, to wit, he had 40 teeth, and they were in unbroken rows. Endowed with these marks, if he dwell in the house, he becomes monarch, turner of the wheel. As monarch, what doth he get? Those about him are not to be divided against themselves amongst Brahmin, householders, town and country folk, treasury officials, bodyguards, warders, ministers, courtiers, tributary kings, feudatory chiefs, and youths of high degree. As monarch, this doth he get. As Buddha, what doth he get? A following that may not be divided against itself, either of bhikshus and bhikkhunis, lay brethren and lay sisters, angels and men, asuras, nagas, and gandhavas. As Buddha, this doth he get. This is the matter spoken of by the Exalted One. Concerning it this was said, no speaker he of slanderous words, provoking breach of friendship, provoking breach of friendship, growth of breach, and fostering strife, embittering unseemly brawls, parent of rupture twixt benevolent friends. That which he uttered made for peace, engendered binding what was broke, with power to scatter people's brawls, in folk at one he found a light, resulting fruit in blessed worlds. 'Twas his to experience and enjoy. Back on this earth his teeth grew close, 20 in even rank unbroke. If trained to arms, he will become master of the soil, and those he rules will be a gentle, peaceful folk. But if from lusts and blemish free, he shall become a wanderer, ranged and firm his band shall be. Whereas in whatsoever former birth, brethren, the Tathagata, then being human, put away rough language, revolted from rough language, and became an habitual speaker of whatsoever words are blameless, pleasant to hear, lovely, reaching to the heart, urbane, pleasing to the people, beloved of the people. He, by the doing and by the accumulating of that karma, by the mass and the abundance of it, was when the body perished, reborn after death in a bright and blessed world. Deceasing thence and attaining life as ye know it, he acquired these two marks of the Superman. To wit, his tongue is very long, and he has an exquisite voice like that of the Karavika bird. Endowed with these marks, if he dwell in the house, he becomes monarch, turner of the wheel. As monarch, what doth he get? A voice that commands attention. All take his words to heart. Brahmin householders, town and country folk, treasury officials, bodyguards, warders, ministers, courtiers, tributary kings, feudatory chiefs, and youths of high degree. As monarch, this doth he get. As Buddha, what doth he get? A voice that commands attention. All take his voice to heart. Bhikshus, bhikkhunis, lay brethren, lay sisters, devas and men, asuras, nagas, gandhavas. As Buddha, this doth he get. This was the matter spoken of by the Exalted One. Concerning it, this was said, not his to lift abusive voice, contentious, hurtful, harsh, and rude, afflicting, crushing many folk. Gentle his voice, and sweet to hear, well-pitched and kind, lovely in sense, his words appealing to the heart, thus to his listeners giving ease. Fruit of benevolent deed was his to enjoy. In heavens he tasted due reward. Thereon again reborn on earth, gifted he grew with voice divine. Bounteous was his length of tongue. Weighty the words of him will be, crowned with success, if lame in he. But if this man to do leave the world, people will take his words to heart, and lay great store on all he saith. Whereas in whatsoever former birth, brethren, the Tathagata, then being human, put away idle talk, revolted from idle talk, and became one who spoke in due season, in accordance with the facts, words full of meaning, who spoke of religion and of discipline, words worthy to be laid up in the heart, fitly illustrated, clearly divided, and to the point. He, by the doing and by the accumulating of that karma, by the mass and the abundance of it, was, when the body perished, reborn after death in a bright and blessed world. Deceasing thence and attaining this life as ye know it, he acquired this mark of the Superman, to wit, his jaws were as a lion's. Endowed with this mark, if he dwell in the house, he becomes monarch, turner of the wheel. As monarch, what doth he get? He cannot be overthrown by any human foe or adversary whatever. As monarch, this doth he get. As Buddha, what doth he get? He cannot be overthrown by any foes or things inimical within or without, out of lust or hate or illusion, by recluse or Brahmin, by Deva or Mara or Brahma, or anyone in the world. As Buddha, this doth he get. This was the matter spoken of by the Exalted One. Concerning it, this was said, not idle talk nor foolishness, framed by confused thought, was his. Things mischievous he brushed away, for all men's benefit and weal he spoke. So doing, hence deceased in heaven, he reaped the fruit of deeds well done. Once further deceased, reborn on earth, his was a jar resembling that of a chief of twice tway-footed things. He as a monarch sure will be master over men impregnable, a sovereign over sons of men of mighty power, like unto head of Deva city Indra's self, the leader of celestial hosts. Heroes, demonic or divine, will find him hard to overthrow. Such will be he, so will he prove in layman's life through the earth. Whereas in whatsoever former birth, former state of being, former sojourning, brethren, the Tathagata, then being human, put away wrong livelihood, maintained himself by right livelihood, revolted from cheating with scales, bonds, or measures, from deceiving by bribery, cheating, and fraud, from maiming, murder, putting in bonds, highway robbery, dacoity, and violence. He, by the doing and by the accumulation of that karma, by the mass and the abundance of it, was, when the body perished, reborn after death in a bright and blessed world. Deceasing thence and attaining this life as ye know it, he acquired these two marks of the Superman, to wit, even and very lustrous teeth. Endowed with these marks, if he dwell in the house, he becomes monarch, turner of the wheel, as righteous master of the right, ruler of the four quarters, conqueror, guardian of the people's benevolent benefit, owner of the seven treasures. His do those seven treasures become, to wit, the wheel treasure, the elephant treasure, the horse treasure, the gem treasure, the woman treasure, the steward treasure, the advisor treasure, making the seventh. Further than 1,000 sons will be his, heroes, champions, vigorous of frame, crushers of the hosts of the enemy. He, when he has conquered this earth to its ocean bounds, an earth void of barrenness, pitfalls, or jungle, mighty, prosperous, secure, fortunate, without blemish, is established not by the scourge, not by the sword, but by righteousness. As monarch, what doth he get? Pure in heart. As Buddha, what doth he get? Pure in heart are his attendants, pure-hearted are his Brahmin householders, town and country folk, treasury officials, bodyguards, warders, ministers, courtiers, tributary kings, feudatory. As monarch, what doth he get? Pure in heart are his attendants. Pure-hearted are his Brahmin, householders, town and country folk, treasury officials, bodyguards, warders, ministers, courtiers, tributary kings, feudatory chiefs, and youths of high degree. As monarch, this doth he get. But if he go forth from the life of the house into the homeless state, he becomes Arhat, a Buddha supreme, rolling back the veil from the world. As Buddha, what doth he get? Pure in heart are his attendants. Pure-hearted are bhikshus and bhikkhunis, lay brethren and lay sisters, devas and men, asuras, nagas, gandhavas. As Buddha, this doth he get. This was the matter spoken of by the Exalted One. Concerning it, this was said: wrong livelihood he laid aside, and shaped a course just, pure, and right. Things mischievous he brushed away. For all men's benefit and weal he worked. Happy rewards he learnt in heaven. The works had he wrought the skilled and wise. Honor ever highly, hence his lot to share in bliss and ravishment in Deva's city like the chief. Thence falling, gaining man's estate by fruit residual of benevolence, he thus wins evenness of teeth, fine luster, too, and purity. Then the assembled augurs said, chief amongst men in wisdom's lore, pure will the folk around him be, whose teeth so even, bright, and pure, and lustrous as birds' plumage shine. To him, a prince and governor of the great earth, all men shall be pure-hearted, waiting upon him. The people shall not be oppressed by violence, for they shall seek the general benevolent benefit and happiness. But if as wanderer he lives, then free from evil lusts, all quenched, and rolling back the murky veil, and pain gone by, and weariness, he sees both this world and the next, laymen and wanderers galore, heeding his teaching, cast aside ways bad and pure, that he doth blame. For pure are they who on him wait. From hearts of men he casteth out the stains that mar, the barren soil, the vice that praise, the hapless fate. Gospels, John 17:18. After Jesus said this, he looked towards heaven and prayed, Creator, the hour has come. Glorify your Son, that your Son may glorify you. For you granted him authority over all the people, that he might give eternal life to all those who you have given him. Now this is eternal life, that they know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent. I have brought you glory on earth by finishing the work you gave me to do. And now, Creator, glorify me in your presence with the glory I had with you before the world began. I have revealed you to those whom you gave me out of the world. They were yours, you gave them to me, and they have obeyed your word. Now they know that everything you have given me comes from you. For I gave them the words you gave me, and they accepted them. They knew with certainty that I came from you, and they believed that you sent me. I pray for them. I am not praying for the world, but for those you have given me, for they are yours. All I have is yours, and all you have is mine, and glory has come to me through them. I'll remain in the world no longer, but they are still in the world, and I am coming to you. Holy Creator, protect them by the power of your name, the name you gave me, so that they may be one as we are one. Whilst I was with them, I protected them and kept them safe by that name you gave me. None has been lost except the one doomed to destruction, so that scripture would be fulfilled. I am coming to you now, but I say these things whilst I am still in the world, so that they may have the full measure of my joy within them. I have given them your word, and the world has hated them, for they are not of the world any further than I am of the world. My prayer is not that you take them out of the world, but that you protect them from the evil one. They are not of the world, even as I am not of it. Sanctify them by the truth. Your word is truth. As you sent me into the world, I have sent them into the world. For them I sanctify myself, that they too may be truly sanctified. My prayer is not for them alone. I pray also for those who will believe in me through their message, that all of them may be one, Creator, just as you are in me and I am in you. May they also be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me. I have given them the glory that you gave me, that they may be one as we are one. I in them and you in me, so that they may be brought to complete unity. Then the world will know that you sent me, and I have loved them even as you have loved me. Creator, I want those you have given me to be with me where I am, and to see my glory, the glory you have given me because you loved me before the creation of the world. Righteous Creator, Though the world does not know you, I know you, and they know that you have sent me. I have made you known to them and will continue to make you known in order that the love you have for me may be in them and that I myself may be in them. When he had finished praying, Jesus left with his disciples and crossed the Kidron Valley. On the other side there was a garden, and he and his disciples went into it. Now Judas, who betrayed him, knew the place because Jesus had often met there with his disciples. So Judas came to the garden, guiding a detachment of soldiers and some officials from the chief priests and the Pharisees. They were carrying torches, lanterns, and weapons. Jesus, knowing all that was going to happen to him, went out and asked them, "Who is it you want?" "Jesus of Nazareth," they replied. "I am he," Jesus said. And Judas the traitor was standing there with them. When Jesus said, "I am he," they drew back and fell to the ground. Again he asked them, "Who is it you want?" "Jesus of Nazareth," they said. Jesus answered, "I told you that I am he. If you are looking for me, then let these men go." This happened so that the words he had spoken would be fulfilled. "I have not lost one of those you gave me." Then Simon Peter, who had a sword, drew it and struck the high priest's servant, cutting off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. Jesus commanded Peter, "Put your sword away. Shall I not drink the cup the Creator has given me?" Then the detachment of soldiers with its commander and the Jewish brethren officials arrested Jesus. They bound him and brought him first to Annas, who was the father-in-law of Caiaphas, the high priest that year. Caiaphas was the one who had advised the Jewish brethren leaders that it would be beneficial if one man died for the people. Simon Peter and another disciple were following Jesus. Because this disciple was known to the high priest, he went with Jesus into the high priest's courtyard, but Peter had to wait outside at the door. The other disciple, who was known to the high priest, came back, spoke to the servant girl on duty there, and brought Peter in. "You aren't one of his main disciples too, are you?" she asked Peter. He replied, "I am not." It was cold, and the servants and officials stood around a fire they had made to keep warm. Peter also was standing with them, warming himself. Meanwhile, the high priest questioned Jesus about his disciples and his teaching. "I've spoken openly to the world," Jesus replied. "I have always taught in synagogues or at the temple where all the Jewish brethren come together. I said nothing in secret. Why question me? Ask those who heard me. Surely they know what I said." When Jesus said this, one of the officials nearby slapped him in the face. "Is this the way you answer the high priest?" he demanded. "If I said something wrong," Jesus replied, "testify as to what was wrong. But if I spoke the truth, why did you strike me?" Then Annas sent him bound to Caiaphas the high priest. Meanwhile, Simon Peter was still standing there warming himself, so they asked him, "You aren't one of his disciples too, are you?" He denied it, saying, "I am not." One of the high priest's servants, a relative of the man whose ear Peter had cut off, challenged him, "Didn't I see you with him in the garden?" Again Peter denied it, and at that moment a rooster began to crow. Then the Jewish brethren leaders took Jesus from Caiaphas to the place of the Roman governor. By now it was early matin, and to avoid ceremonial uncleanness they did not enter the palace because they wanted to be able to eat the Pesach. So Pilate came out to them and asked, "What charges are you bringing against this man?" "If he were not a criminal," they replied, we would not have handed him over to you." Pilate said, "Take him yourselves and judge him by your own law." "But we have no right to execute anyone," they objected. This took place to fulfill what Jesus had said about the kind of death he was going to die. Pilate then went back inside the palace, summoned Jesus, and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jewish brethren?" "Is that your own idea?" Jesus asked, "or did others talk to you about me?" "Am I a Jewish brother?" Pilate asked. "Your own people and chief priests handed you over to me. What is it you have done?" Jesus said, "My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest by the Jewish brethren leaders. But now my kingdom is from another place." "You are a king then," said Pilate. Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. In fact, the reason I was born and came into the world is to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me." "What is truth?" retorted Pilate. With this he went out again to the Jewish brethren gathered there and said, "I find no basis for a charge against him. But it is your custom for me to release to you one prisoner at the time of the Pesach. Do you want me to release the king of the Jewish brethren?" They shouted back, "No, not him. Give us Barabbas." Now Barabbas had taken part in an uprising. Quran, Surah Al-Mujadiyah, Surah Al-Hashr, Surah Al-Mam, Surah Al-Mutahina, Surah Asaf, Surah Al-Jumu'ah, 58 a 62. Surah Al-Mujadiyah 58. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Allah has indeed heard and accepted the statement of the woman who pleads with thee concerning her husband and carries her complaint in prayer to Allah. And Allah always hears the arguments between both sides amongst you, for Allah hears and sees all things. If any men amongst you divorce their wives by zihar, calling them Moors, they cannot be their Moors. None can be their Moors except those who gave them birth. And in fact, they utilize words both iniquitous and false. But truly, Allah is one that blots out sins and forgives again and again. For those who divorce their wives by zihar, then wish to go back on the words they uttered, it is ordained that such a one should free a slave before they touch each other. Thus are ye admonished to perform, and Allah is well acquainted with all that ye do. And if any has not the wherewithal, he should fast for 2 months consecutively before they touch each other. But if any is unable to do so, he should feed 60 indigent ones. This that ye may show your faith in Allah and Allah's Messenger. Those are limits set by Allah. For those who reject Allah, there is a grievous penalty. Those who resist Allah and Allah's Messenger will be humbled to dust, as were those before them. For we have already sent down clear signs, and the unbelievers will have a humiliating penalty. On the day that Allah will raise them all up again and show them the truth and meaning of their conduct, Allah has reckoned its value, though they may have forgotten it, for Allah is witness to all things. Seest thou not that Allah doth know all that is in the heavens and on earth? There is not a secret consultation between 3, but Allah makes the 4th amongst them, nor between 5, but Allah makes the 6th, nor between fewer nor further, but Allah is in their midst wheresoever they be. And in the end will Allah tell them the truth of their conduct, and on the day of judgment, for Allah has full knowledge of all things. Turnest thou not thy sight towards those who were forbidden in secret counsels, yet revert to that which they were forbidden to do? And they hold secret counsels amongst themselves for iniquity and hostility and disobedience to the Messenger. And when they come to thee, they salute thee, not as Allah salutes thee, but in crooked ways. And they say to themselves, why does not Allah punish us for our words? Enough for them is hell. In it will they burn, and evil is that destination. O ye who believe, when ye hold secret counsel, do it not for iniquity and hostility and disobedience to the Prophet, but do it for righteousness and self-restraint, and fear Allah, to whom ye shall be brought back. Secret counsels are only inspired by the evil one in order that he may cause grief to the believers, but he cannot harm them in the least except as Allah permits, and on Allah let the believers put their trust. O ye who believe, when ye are told to make room in the assembly, spread out and make room. Ample room will Allah provide for you. And when ye are told to rise up, Allah will rise up to suitable ranks and degrees, those of you who believe and who have been granted mystic knowledge, and Allah is well acquainted with all ye do. O ye who believe, when ye consult the Messenger in private, spend something in charity before your private consultation. That will be best for you and most conducive to purity of conduct. But if ye find not the wherewithal, Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. Is it that ye are afraid of spending sums in charity before your private consultation with Him? If then ye do not so, and Allah forgives you, then at least establish regular prayer, practice regular charity, and obey Allah and Allah's Messenger, and Allah is well acquainted with all that ye do. Turnest thou not thy attention to those who turn in friendship to such as have the wrath of Allah upon them? They are neither of you nor of them, and they swear to falsehood knowingly. Allah has prepared for them a severe penalty. Evil indeed are their deeds. They have made their oaths a screen for their misdeeds, thus they obstruct men from the path of Allah, therefore they shall have a humiliating penalty. Of no benefit whatever to them against Allah will be their riches nor their sons. They will be companions of the fire to dwell therein for aye. One day will Allah raise them all up for judgment, then will they swear to Allah as they swear to you, and they think that they have something to stand upon. No, indeed, they are but liars. The evil one has got the better of them, so he has made them lose the remembrance of Allah. They are the party of the evil one. Truly, it is the party of the evil one that will perish. Those who resist Allah and Allah's Messenger will be amongst those most humiliated. Allah has decreed, it is I and my apostles who must prevail, for Allah is one full of strength, able to enforce Allah's will. Thou will not find any people who believe in Allah in the last day, loving those who resist Allah and Allah's Messenger, even though they were their fathers or their sons or their brothers or their kindred. For such Allah has written faith in their hearts and strengthened them with a spirit from Allah. And Allah will admit them to gardens beneath which rivers flow to dwell therein forever. Allah will be well pleased with them and they with Allah. They are the party of Allah. Truly it is the party of Allah that will achieve felicity. Surah Al-Hashr 59. Bismillah ar-Rahmani ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Whatever is in the heavens and on earth, let it declare the praises and glory of Allah. For Allah is the exalted in might, the wise. It is Allah who got out the unbelievers amongst the people of the book from their homes at the first gathering of the forces. Little did ye think that they would get out, and they thought that their fortresses would defend them from Allah. But the wrath of Allah came to them from quarters from which they little expected it, and cast terror into their hearts, so that they destroyed their dwellings by their own hands and the hands of the believers. Take warning then, O ye with eyes to see. And had it not been that Allah had decreed banishment for them, Allah would certainly have punished them in this world, and in the hereafter they shall certainly have the punishment of the fire. That is because they resisted Allah and Allah's Messenger, and if anyone resists Allah, verily Allah is severe in punishment. Whether ye cut down, O ye Muslim, the tender palm trees, or ye lift them standing on their roots, it was by leave of Allah, and in order that Allah might cover with shame the rebellious transgressors. What Allah has bestowed on Allah's Messenger and taken away from them, for this ye made no expedition with either cavalry or camelry. But Allah gives power to Allah's apostles over any Allah pleases, and Allah has power over all things. What Allah has bestowed on Allah's Messenger and taken away from the people of the townships belongs to Allah, to Allah's Messenger, and to kindred and orphans, the needy and the wayfarer, in order that it may not merely make a circuit between the wealthy amongst you. So take what the Messenger assigns to you, and deny yourselves that which he withholds from you, and fear Allah, for Allah is strict in punishment. Some part is due to the indigent muhajirs, those who were expelled from their homes and their property whilst seeking grace from Allah and Allah's benevolent pleasure, and aiding Allah and Allah's Messenger. Such are indeed the sincere ones. But those who before them had homes in Medina and had adopted the faith show their affection to such as came to them for refuge, and entertain no desire in their hearts for things given to the latter, but give them preference over themselves, even though poverty was their own lot. And though saved from the covetousness of their own souls, they are the ones that achieve prosperity. And those who came after them say, Our Lord, forgive us and our brethren who came before us into the faith, and leave not in our hearts rancor or sense of injury against those who have believed. Our Lord, thou art indeed full of kindness, most merciful. Hast thou not observed the hypocrites say to their misbelieving brethren amongst the people of the book, If ye are expelled, we too will go out with you, and we will never hearken to any one in your affair. And if you are attacked in fight, we will help you. But Allah is witness that they are indeed liars. If they are expelled, never will they go out with them, and if they are attacked in fight, they will never help them. And if they do help them, they will turn their backs, so they will receive no help. Of a truth, ye are stronger than they because of the terror in their hearts, sent by Allah. This is because they are men devoid of understanding. They will not fight you even together except in fortified townships or from behind walls. Strong is their fighting spirit amongst themselves. Thou wouldst think that they were united, but their hearts are divided. That is because they are a people devoid of wisdom. Like those who lately preceded them, they have tasted the evil result of their conduct, and in the hereafter there is for them a grievous penalty. Their allies deceive them, like the evil one, when he says to man, Deny Allah. But when man denies Allah, the evil one says, I am free of thee, I do fear Allah, the Lord of the worlds. The end of both will be that they will go into the fire, dwelling therein forever. Such is the reward of the wrongdoers. O ye who believe, fear Allah, and let every soul look to what provision Allah has sent forth for the next day. Yea, fear Allah, for Allah is well acquainted with all that ye do. And be ye not like those who forget Allah, and Allah made them forget their own souls. Such are the rebellious transgressors. Not equal are the companions of the fire and the companions of the garden. It is the companions of the garden that will achieve felicity. Had we sent down this Quran on a mountain, verily thou wouldst have seen it humble itself and cleave asunder for fear of Allah. Such are the similitudes which we propound to men that they may reflect. Allah is Allah, than whom there is no other deity, who knows all things both secret and open. Allah most gracious, most merciful. Allah is Allah, than whom there is no other deity, the Sovereign, the Holy One, the source of peace and perfection, the guardian of faith, the preserver of safety, the exalted in might, the irresistible, the supreme. Glory to Allah. High is Allah above the partners they attribute to Allah. Allah is Allah, the Creator, the Evolver, the Bestower of forms or colors. To Allah belong the most beautiful names. Whatever is in the heavens and on earth doth declare Allah's praises and glory, and Allah is the exalted in might, the wise. Surah Al-Mumtahina, 60. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. O ye who believe, take not my enemies and yours as friends or protectors, offering them your love, even though they have rejected the truth that has come to you, and have on the contrary driven out the Prophet and yourselves from your homes, simply because ye believe in Allah your Lord. If ye have come out to strive in my way and to seek my benevolent pleasure, take them not as friends, holding secret converse of love and friendship with them. For I know full well all that ye conceal and all that ye reveal, and any of you that does this has strayed from the straight path. If they were to get the better of you, they would behave to you as enemies, and stretch forth their hands and their tongues against you for evil, and they desire that ye should reject the truth. Of no benefit to you will be your relatives and your children on the day of judgment. Allah will judge between you, for Allah sees well all that ye do. There is for you an excellent example to follow in Abraham and those with him, when they said to their people, We are clear of what you and of whatever ye worship besides Allah. We have rejected you, and there has arisen between us and you enmity and hatred forever, unless ye believe in Allah and Allah alone. But not when Abraham said to his father, I will pray for forgiveness for thee, though I have no power to get aught on thy behalf from Allah. They prayed, Our Lord, in thee do we trust, and to thee do we turn in repentance. To thee is our final goal. Our Lord, make us not a test and trial for the unbelievers, but forgive us, our Lord, for thou art in the exalted in might, the wise. There was indeed in them an excellent example for you to follow, for those whose hope is in Allah and in the last day. But if they turn away, truly Allah is free of all wants, worthy of all praise. It may be that Allah will grant love and friendship between you and those whom ye now hold as enemies. For Allah has power over all things, and Allah is all forgiving, most merciful. Allah forbids you not with regard to those who fight you not for your faith, nor drive you out of your homes from dealing kindly and justly with them, for Allah loveth those who are just. Allah only forbids you with regard to those who fight you for your faith, and drive you out of your homes, and support others in driving you out, from turning to them for friendship and protection. It is such as turn to them in these circumstances that do wrong. O ye who believe, when there comes to you believing women, refugees, examine and test them. Allah knows best as to their faith. If ye ascertain that they are believers, then send them not back to the unbelievers. They are not lawful wives for the unbelievers, nor are the unbelievers lawful husbands for them. But pay the unbelievers what they have spent on their dower, and there will be no blame on you if ye marry them on payment of their dower to them. But hold not to the guardianship of unbelieving women. Ask for what ye have spent on their dowers, and let the unbelievers ask for what they have spent on their dowers of women who come over to you. Such is the command of Allah. Allah judges with justice between you, and Allah is full of knowledge and wisdom. And if any of your wives deserts you to the unbelievers, and ye have an accession by the coming over of a woman from the other side, then pay to those whose wives have deserted the equivalent of what they had spent on their dower, and fear Allah in whom ye believe. O Prophet, when believing women come to thee to take the oath of fealty to thee, that they will not associate and worship any other thing whatever with Allah, that they will not steal, that they will not commit adultery or fornication, that they will not kill their children, that they will not utter slander, intentionally forging falsehood, and that they will not disobey thee in any just matter, then do thou receive their fealty, and pray to Allah for the forgiveness of their sins, for Allah is all forgiving, most merciful. O ye who believe, turn not for friendship to people on whom is the wrath of Allah. Of the hereafter they are already in despair, just as the unbelievers are in despair about those buried in graves. Surah As-Saf, 61. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Whatever is in the heavens and on earth, let it declare the praises and glory of Allah, for Allah is the exalted in might, the wise. O ye who believe, why say ye that which ye do not? Grievously odious is it in the sight of Allah that ye say that which ye do not. Truly Allah loves those who fight in Allah's cause in battle array, as if they were a solid, cemented structure. And remember, Moshe said to his people, O my people, why do ye vex and insult me, though ye know that I am the apostle of Allah sent to you? Then when they went wrong, Allah let their hearts go wrong, for Allah guides not those who are rebellious transgressors. And remember, Jesus the son of Mary said, O children of Israel, I am the apostle of Allah sent to you, confirming the law which came before me, and giving glad tidings of a messenger to come after me, whose name shall be Ahmad. But when he came to them with clear signs, they said, "This is evident sorcery. Who doth greater wrong than one who invents falsehood against Allah, even as he is being invited to Islam? And Allah guides not those who do wrong." Their intention is to extinguish Allah's light by blowing with their mouths, but Allah will complete the revelation of Allah's light, even though the unbelievers may detest it. It is Allah who has sent Allah's messenger with guidance and the religion of truth, that he may proclaim it over all religion, even though the pagans may detest it. O ye who believe, shall I lead you to a bargain that will save you from a grievous penalty, that ye believe in Allah and Allah's messenger, and that ye strive your utmost in the cause of Allah with your property and your persons? That will be best for you if you but knew. Allah will forgive you your sins and admit you to gardens beneath which rivers flow, and to beautiful mansions in gardens of eternity. That is indeed the supreme achievement. And another favor will Allah bestow which ye do love, help from Allah and a speedy victory. So give the glad tidings to the believers. O ye who believe, be helpers of Allah. As said Jesus the son of Mary to the disciples, "Who will be my helpers to the work of Allah?" Said the disciples, "We are Allah's helpers." Then a portion of the children of Israel believed and a portion disbelieved. But we gave power to those who believed against their enemies, and they became the ones that prevailed. Surah Al-Jumu'ah 62. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Whatever is in the heavens and on earth doth declare the praises and glory of Allah, the Sovereign, the Holy One, the Exalted in might, the Wise. It is Allah who has sent amongst the unlettered an apostle from amongst themselves, to rehearse to them Allah's signs, to sanctify them and to instruct them in scripture and wisdom, although they had been before in manifest error, as well as to confer all these benefits upon others of them who have not already joined them, and Allah is exalted in might, wise. Such is the bounty of Allah, which Allah bestows on whom Allah will, and Allah is the Lord of the highest bounty. The similitude of those who were charged with the obligations of the Mosaic law, but who subsequently failed in those obligations, is that of a donkey which carries huge tomes, but understands them not. Evil is the similitude of people who falsify the signs of Allah, and Allah guides not people who do wrong. Say, O ye that stand on Judaism, if ye think that ye are friends to Allah, to the exclusion of other men, then express your desire for death if ye are truthful. But never will they express their desire for death, because of the deeds their hands have sent on before them, and Allah knows well those that do wrong. Say, the death from which ye flee will truly overtake you, then will ye be sent back to the knower of things secret and open, and Allah will tell you the truth of the things that ye did. O ye who believe, when the call is proclaimed to prayer on Friday, the day of assembly, hasten earnestly to the remembrance of Allah, and leave off business and traffic. That is best for you if ye but knew. And when the prayer is finished, then may ye disperse through the land, and seek of the bounty of Allah, and celebrate the praises of Allah often and without stint, that ye may prosper. But when they see some bargain or some amusement, they disperse headlong to it, and leave thee standing. Say, the blessing from the presence of Allah is better than any amusement or bargain, and Allah is the best to provide for all needs. Tao Te Ching 10-15. 10. In holding the soul and embracing oneness, can one be steadfast without straying? In concentrating the energy and reaching relaxation, can one be like an infant? In cleaning away the worldly view, can one be without imperfections? In loving the people and ruling the nation, can one be without manipulation? In the heavenly gates opening and closing, can one hold to the feminine principle? In understanding clearly all directions, can one be without intellectuality? Bearing it, rearing it, bearing without possession, achieving without arrogance, raising without domination. This is called mystic virtue. 11. 30 spokes join in one hub. In its emptiness, there is the function of a vehicle. Mix clay to create a container. In its emptiness, there is the function of a container. Cut open doors and windows to create a room. In its emptiness, there is the function of a room. Therefore, that which exists is utilized to create benefit. That which is empty is utilized to create functionality. The 5 colors make one blind in the eyes. The 5 sounds make one deaf in the ears. The 5 flavors make one tasteless in the mouth. Racing and hunting make one wild in the heart. Treasures that are difficult to acquire make one cause damage. Therefore the sages care for the stomach and not the eyes. That is why they discard the other and take this. Trece. Favor and disgrace make one fearful. The greatest misfortune is the self. What does favor and disgrace make one fearful mean? Favor is high, disgrace is low. Having it makes one fearful. Losing it makes one fearful. This is favor and disgrace make one fearful. What does the greatest misfortune is the self mean? The reason I have great misfortune is that I have the self. If I have no self, what misfortune do I have? So one who values the self as the world can be given the world. One who loves the self as the world can be entrusted with the world. Catorce. Look at it, it cannot be seen. It is called colorless. Listen to it, it cannot be heard. It is called noiseless. Reach for it, it cannot be held. It is called formless. These 3 cannot be completely unraveled, so they are combined into one. Above it, not bright. Below it, not dark. Continuing endlessly cannot be named. It returns back into nothingness. Thus it is called the form of the formless, the image of the imageless. This is called enigmatic. Confront it, its front cannot be seen. Follow it, its back cannot be seen. Wield the Tao of the ancients to manage the existence of today. One can know the ancient beginning. It is called the Tao axiom. Quince. The Tao masters of antiquity, subtle wonders through mystery, depths that cannot be discerned. Because one cannot discern them, therefore one is forced to describe the appearance. Hesitant, like crossing a wintry river. Cautious, like fearing 4 neighbors. Solemn, like a guest. Loose, like ice about to melt. Genuine, like plain wood. Open, like a valley. Opaque, like muddy water. Who can be muddled, yet desist? In stillness, gradually become clear. Who can be serene, yet persist? In motion, gradually come alive. One who holds this Tao does not wish to be overfilled. Because one is not overfilled, therefore one can preserve and not create anew. Alhamdulillah Rahman Rahim. Allahu Akbar. Deus noster qui es in celis, sanctificator nomen tuum, vaheguru satnam. Thou could thou, fehum thou. Ja. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kazanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'sok b'davai Torah. Amen. Kyrie eleison. Siva mastu savajigatehi. Sabe sata bhavantu sukhitata. Vagabiyam. Ubuntu. Shabono. Fekako. Akwaba upendo na amani. Woman Jeka. Sheshe. Kamosunida. Domo arigato. Pelomayelo wakantokan. Talk. Rodokashin good. God, we thank you for all that you bless us. Go with the God. Ata jamya yata afanami. Aho. Om shanti shanti shanti. Amen. Alhamdulillah Rahmani Rahim. Allah wabha. Deus noster qui es in celis, sanctificator nomen tuum, vaheguru satnam. Thou could thou, fehum thou. Ja. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Kyrie eleison. Siva mastu savajigatehe. Sabe sata bhavantu sukhitata. Vagabiyam. Ubuntu. Shabono. Fekako. Akwaba upendo na amani. Woman Jeka. Sheshe. Kamosanida. Domo arigato. Pelomayela wakantokan. Talk adokashin good. God, we thank you for all that you bless us. Woman the God. Ata jamya yata afanami. Aho. Om shanti shanti shanti. Amen. Namaste. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. Zaijen. Adios. Tehe chakaris. Asmodwo. Kelego Fred. One love and peace.